Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by the head boys basketball coach at Williamston High School. Of course, that is Koji Vroom. How's it going?
Good, Casey. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's start with this. I know you've gotten a chance to play a lot of games since you took the job at Williamston. But what has it been like, and just what's it been like just to I know you've wanted to be a head coach for a while, and what's that like? Just kind of just saying, just run through these games, and where do you guys think you're at right now?
Yeah, it's been a lot of learning and teaching on our coaching staff's part, and a lot of learning on the fly. I think there's some things that obviously our record isn't where we'd want it to be, but we are, I think, learning a lot on the fly and learning a lot of stuff that you can't really simulate in practice. You just got to get through it in games, and sometimes that comes from losing, and it's not fun. But as long as you learn from it, it's going to help us down the road. With having more games this year and having as many as we did before Christmas, I think we're in a better place than we would be if, say, we played 3 games before the break and we were just practicing a lot. Because just with our rosters at, like, we had 3 returners, but they didn't play a ton last year on the state title team, and so we really have pretty much 12 guys that have very, very little, if any, varsity experience, and they're just stepping into playing a lot of big schools in a tough schedule, which is how we want it. But the reality is it's just been a struggle at times to, expect some things to go kind of how we would normally have them. Just because guys haven't been through those. Like in close games when it gets late, how are you going to respond to certain things if something doesn't go your way, or the team comes back and punches you in the mouth? Like, how do you battle back to that? And we've taken steps in the right direction. It's just about making sure that we do it for 32 minutes.
Yeah. So let's kind of talk about some of those guys that really just talk about, usually this is the time where I ask coaches to just talk about some of the guys that, some of the guys to watch for on Williamston, and, maybe some of the returners as well.
Yeah, 3 returners are Brooks Klein, Carter Mock, and Anthony Shelley. They were all on the team last year. Brooks played a little bit more. I mean, most games weren't close last year, so he got a decent amount of run. He threw down a dunk in Breslin. He's our leading scorer right now, so a lot of our stuff goes through him. Carter and Anthony are more role guys that kind of play different spots. When healthy, we've only had 1 game where we haven't had somebody out with either the flu or an injury or what have you. So they both missed a little bit of time here and there, but they both play important roles, and especially leadership wise, like just from guys that have been there and know from a team standpoint and leadership standpoint what the standard needs to be. So they've been really helpful in that area. Then a really strong junior class has been awesome. We start usually 3 juniors, Max McCune, Zach Cribbs, and Hudson Hunt. And then Ben Smith has been coming off the bench quite a bit for us. So that's really exciting for me. Like, obviously we are very focused on this year, but to know that everything we were able to accomplish this year in kind of a short time from when I was hired, in July, where we didn't really get that summer period or off season, to now and then leading into next year, will be really fun with that group coming back.
Yeah. So going into this and in these next few games, just kind of preview and kind of see where you guys are at right now.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really good test. I mean, starting tomorrow, we have 4 games in the next 8 days. Starting with East Lansing tomorrow night, which will be really good. They're one of the best teams in our area and one of the best teams in the upper division of the CAAC. We already played Okemos, which I think between those 2 is probably looking at the top 2 teams in that division. So it'll be a really good test for us tomorrow night. And then we come back. Dexter comes to our place on Tuesday, which will be a good battle against another big school and a well-coached team over there. Then we get league game starting up again and on Friday. And then we turn around and both our program and the girls program go to Chelsea on the 7th for kind of all 5 teams between freshman, JV, and varsity, girls and boys, which will be pretty cool. And they're clearly one of the most talented teams, especially in Division II and probably in the state regardless. So good, tough games, and that'll kind of show us where we've gotten to from where we started, but also, still learn some things and where we get to or where we need to get to.
Yeah. So really, taking this job and, coming with this, well, first off, kind of going back, it's like going forward and then now we're going back. Talk about, taking this job, what really wanted you to kind of do this?
Yeah, since I started coaching, I started coaching at Dexter High School. Was where I first started coaching. I just loved high school basketball, and the part of me that drove me to chase the college thing was to do it, quote unquote, full time. And that was a blast. Like, I loved all my college experiences. But the chance to come back to Michigan, I spent last year in Wisconsin. But the chance to come back to Michigan and then also lead a program where I know that there's a lot of athletes that invest a lot of time and a community that invests a lot into athletics is not always the case in high school, not like trying to throw shade at anyone, but just like the amount of athletes and people that we have that really love sports and invest a lot in sports at Williamston is really cool, especially for a smaller sized school. So to get that opportunity and a chance to build something and kind of rebuild from the success that they've had and the athletes that they've had come through was a really cool opportunity. And it's about an hour away from family in Ann Arbor, so it's pretty close to home. And around the holidays, that's nice to get to put in a lot of work, but also still get to go spend time with family. And to me, basketball's basketball. Like, it is high school, and working in the school will kind of lead to it. I mean, in a sense, it's full time. Like, you're not doing basketball the whole time. You're not doing the whole recruiting thing like college is, but it's a really great community and a really cool opportunity.
Yeah. So you look at the division that you're in, and obviously it's and I'm pretty sure that you're up to speed. CAAC is always it's always a fun division, especially you've got some tough teams in yours.
Yeah, it's been great. Like, I think it makes our non-conference schedule really fun. Like, we play 5 of the 7 that are in the blue in the upper division, and non-conference plus Lansing Catholic. This year we don't play Ionia. I'm guessing we'll get them back on the schedule in the next couple of years because they're one of the stronger teams in the lower division. So it makes it really fun in season and non-conference, and then out of season when you're trying to play games, either scrimmages or in June when you're playing a lot of games. Like, to have so much talent and so many good teams and well-coached teams in our area. Makes it nice to have shorter bus drives just for good games, or just be able to bring a lot of teams together for a day in June and play games. So that's been really fun. It's been a battle. I'm looking forward to for some teams, like for Hazlitt and St. John's, getting to play again, like knowing who they are, and then also getting to see some of the other teams in our league that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, of course. You talk about, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, trying to. I know you're not in the blue, white. I think you're in the.
We're red. Yes.
Okay, I knew it was one of them.
Blue, red, white in order of like big schools to smaller schools.
So I know in the red, it's always you got, of course, another team. Mason's really good too.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at some of these teams you like, Mason, Hazlitt. You look at St. John's, Fowlerville's up and coming as well. I probably am forgetting a couple, but overall, what's it looking like for the red division?
I think, like you said, like Mason is definitely up there. I think they were kind of coach's pick preseason to lead it, and they've taken care of business so far. So they're kind of in pole position right now. I think after that, it's really up there. It's going to be, I mean, people look at the Big Ten every year in terms of like just everyone just kind of beats each other up. I think that's frankly how ours is going to look. Like, I think Mason definitely, I mean, I think being 2-0 and kind of being the favorite is good for them. But I think, our guys have learned, like, we're not last year's team. Like, every night's going to be a dogfight, and you got to go out and win a battle against a team. And I think that's going to happen with everybody. And I think that's what's really exciting. Like, we played St. John's, and I think their staff is doing a heck of a job. Like, you may not look in layup lines, like they're not a huge team, but they've got a bunch of kids that play their tails off and play hard and play really, really fun basketball and play really aggressively. And they're going to surprise some people. I think they already knocked off Holt, one of the teams in the blue this year. So like they're legit. And I'm excited to see a lot of really good basketball games in our league.
Yeah. And last thing is in these next few games, and I know you got a big one against East Lansing coming up. You mentioned Dexter going up against you get to go up against a place that you were at. Obviously, look at the program that Coach Rushton's kind of built over there. And then just of course, you get to, anytime you get to coach against, talented players. And of course, Evan Haroldson is one of them. But what's it like to go up against those guys? And what do you want to see out of your team again in this stretch before we really get into conference play in the next few weeks?
Yeah, I think it's just continuing to build on what we've built on. Like it's I think frustrating at times to look at some of the games that we've had because the results haven't been what we've wanted. But when I go back and watch film, like we are progressing in different areas each game. I think against DeWitt, like when we didn't turn the ball over, we had really good possessions, and our defense wasn't as good as we want it to be, but we shot, I think, somewhere around like almost 60%. We just had a lot of turnovers. So in terms of learning from that and then putting together defensively like we had against Okemos, like we had 2 games in the last week that were, one was, both I think we played decently offensively in kind of different areas, and then some we played defensively well for different parts of the game. I think just putting it all together. And so if we can put it together in this next week, we're going to have some serious success against the teams and some good teams at that. So I think that's really exciting. And then just the opportunity, I think, for a lot of our guys, like between a couple of our seniors and then some juniors, we have guys that have, college basketball aspirations. And so it's a chance to go out and say, hey, like these guys have opportunities on the table. Like, let's go prove what we can do and do it against the guys that we think that we can play against and play with at the next level.
All right. Well, Koji Vroom, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck the rest of the year, and best of luck tomorrow against East Lansing.
Yeah, absolutely, Casey. Anytime. Thanks for having me.